and welcome to this Care Talk Business Podcast. My name is Karen Rogers, owner and MD of Herefordshire Care Homes. My first guest today studied for a degree in politics and international relations. She joined Parliament in 2015, holding a number of ministerial positions under Theresa May and Boris Johnson. As a carer for her parents over the years, she's passionate about social care. My guest today is Mims Davies, the Parliamentary Secretary of State for Employment.
I know your own personal experiences have influenced you. So how has that influenced you as Employment Minister?
Oh, absolutely. So my dad was injured at work when I was 12. He was actually attacked in the street by a former employee and nearly died on the side of the road. And it left 6 weeks before he recognised many people. He spent several years having rehabilitation, eventually went back to work, but was never the same. And we started to really understand the long-term impact of head injury. It made my mum, the principal carer, it in fact impacted us massively financially, and it was a really difficult time. But I would say it meant that we spent a lot more time together as a family, and I'm very grateful to have been there to care for both my mum and dad. You'll know very often the carer themselves can be very impacted and need support when perhaps they lose their loved one, and I went through exactly that, and managing young children. So I know absolutely the daily challenges that people have.
Great. So that gives you a real understanding of social care, doesn't it? Adult social care as well. So thank you for that. Also, I mean, it must be such a daunting task being Employment Minister going through a pandemic. So, you know, what is your day like? What's a sort of a normal day for you?
Well, I feel like many people, I'm not living at work or working at home, I'm living at work. But actually, it's a massive challenge. We've still got some structural vacancies in the labour market that we want to fix, and care is one of those areas. Construction, logistics, haulage, there are opportunities there, nearly 600,000 opportunities, but there's really challenging issues in particular sectors like arts and culture and tourism and travel, where many people and hospitality just simply won't have seen the change to their employment status. And this has been a big shock for people. So I'm very conscious behind every statistic is a person, a community, a family, and those sectors really do matter across many communities. And what do I do all day? I'm working on Plan for Jobs. So that's our Kickstart programme, our JETS, our JFS programme, running and supporting 630 job centres across the UK, recruiting more work coaches, empowering our work coaches, and making sure that we can react to the impact of this pandemic.
Great. So there's currently the unemployment figures are around 5%, and it's probably likely to increase when people come through furlough scheme. So do you think, given all of the schemes that you just mentioned, the swap scheme, Kickstart, and people coming through unemployment, do you think that might create opportunities in adult social care or social care generally?
Absolutely. And just this week, actually, Karen, I've seen people who've come into the labour market for different reasons. They are our claimants, but actually they're seeing that care is a great opportunity for them. So I met with people in Walsall and in Harrogate. So in Walsall, it was working with Embark Learning to bring some of our claimants into the breadth of social care and the opportunities that people can have, and also working with the hospice sector up in Yorkshire in North Harrogate, and making sure that there's a great opportunity for our young people through Kickstart. And I'm very aware that care can be one-to-one care, it can be domiciliary care, it can be supportive care of disabled people and young people, but it can also be the admin, the maintenance, the finance, the food. There's so much more to care sector than many people realise. And actually it's been in those meetings again this week that people have realised what the breadth of opportunities are, and also the pandemic's really focused people's minds on wanting to do a job that matters, wanting something perhaps more local, wanting to give back after a lot going on in their lives. And some of them, of course, being former carers themselves, and recognising this could be a good career for them that they know and understand and value being part of.
Yeah, and as you rightly say, pandemic really shone a light on social care. And I think one of the things it really highlighted was how little was known about the sector. And I think there's, so maybe there are some opportunities there. But what do you think we can do to actually make social care more attractive to people working in other sectors?
So I was a former co-chair of the carers group on the all-party group, and since I've been in Westminster, it's been a big focus for me to make sure that the care sector is understood, it's valued. And I know our care minister, Minister Whately, and launching this campaign, putting £120 million behind the Make a Difference brand. Obviously, today we've got the white paper, which brings health and care together and really starts to recognise that the two need to go in tandem across our communities, and people need to fully understand that. So it gives us a good opportunity. I think as government and as employers, we've got to work really hard to make sure that it's appealing, it's supported. I know, speaking to the Minister Whately myself, she's really keen on the progression opportunities and the people understanding the breadth of opportunities, and also being trained and valued in the sector. So there's lots of work for us to do, but I think we've got a unique opportunity to try and address some of these rather large and big challenges. But actually, I think by coming together, we can look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think the white paper might in fact do that to some extent?
Yeah, I think this is really important ahead of a bill to focus on the inequalities, to really look to improve the sector, to really value it in the way that we have the broader NHS, to put the money where our mouths are, where possible. Obviously, money's going to be tight going forward, but we know just how important supporting our care homes has been, and we've done that with a focus around vaccine priority, the free PPE, the big focus on infection control guidance, increased staff testing, and really making sure that we really learn from medical experts about the impact on care of this pandemic and what we need to be putting into place for future.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think people really do appreciate certainly the vaccine rollout and how quickly that happened and how we work so closely, that integrated care with health. I think what we've got to do now is have a look at how we really value people, how we value people actually receiving services. And you know what, without getting into the conversation about the cost of care, but those are some of the issues. So to attract the right people and to bring people into the sector that we want to, and to pay the right rates of pay, we've really got to seriously look at the cost of care. And to some extent, we've just looked at what it's cost for people who have to isolate coming back from overseas, the cost of hotels, and just look at the parity there. It is disproportionate. And, people are desperate to really offer really good quality care, but there is a conversation about cost and about recruiting the right people. So I think that crossover between Minister Whately and yourself might really focus how we move forward.
Yes, and we were having conversations about this before the pandemic, about the importance of supporting the care sector, understanding there was a change coming in immigration, that we needed to make sure we got the right people coming into care, and that we are focused on progression. And I think that the sector will be really interested in a DWP progression paper, which is being worked on at the moment by Baroness Ruby McGregor-Smith. I know it will have a big amount to say around care and address, Karen, some of what you've just raised. I am really pleased, though, that care homes and the NHS have really come together in this vaccine rollout. That parity and understanding have really come together. And I think that will hold us in good stead, actually, for these future conversations. I know that most of our housebound patients now are done, all of our care homes are done, and there's a really good knowledge between the two working together. So yes, a big challenge, but a good opportunity for us.
Yes, it is a challenge, and we'll look forward to reading the white paper and also looking at how the Kickstart scheme and the SWAT scheme can really benefit the sector and introduce some new skills, across the whole of adult social care.
I completely agree. The opportunity through Kickstart, we've got 6,500 employers already involved, over 700 gateways, and the care sector and the opportunities there are really clear to get young people involved and part of. And I really thank the sector for what they've done coming forward in this. And that's what specifically the hospice group in North Yorkshire had done. They pulled together all of their opportunities to showcase the breadth of wonderful things that they do in care, whether you could be part of the social media team, whether you could be part of the research and the policy team, whether you could be helping with food and that one-to-one care. There's a breadth of opportunities that our young people are going to get, and we've worked brilliantly all across the land with the Northam Care Trust in North Devon, to the Aspen Hill Village Care Group in Leeds. We at DWP have very strong relationships with our local employers, and that's why our swaps and our Kickstart opportunities are a great way to support DHSE to show that you can really make a difference, and that this is a sector that you can thrive in, and we've got to continue to make it feel valued and a priority in this country.
Thank you so much, and I hope that is one of the real benefits that come out of the pandemic. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, and it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely, Karen. And let me just take a final opportunity to say thank you to all our care operations, all our informal carers, everybody who's doing their bit to support loved ones, to support young people, disabled people, everybody in the community that day in, day out are being supported. My neighbours have a wonderful care team that regularly come and see them, and I know just how valued they are, and they're one of hundreds of thousands of brilliant people who've continued to be those key workers through the pandemic. So thank you to all of them and everybody in the sector. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope you found our interview with Mims Davies informative. Join us for part 2, where I'll be speaking with Dr. Len Lofts, CEO of the Northam Care Trust, a real example of how the social care sector can reap the rewards of the government's Kickstart scheme.
I've read a little bit about you, but do you want to just briefly tell me the kinds of services that you cover? It's quite a sort of consortium of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real continuum. So the Northern Care Trust started a whole new modernisation programme about 3 years ago, based in North Devon, which is very different to South Devon and East Devon, very rural, a couple of market towns. We offer services now to people in supported living. We have residential projects, domiciliary care, enabling, community and day services. So we have this real continuum, which means that during COVID, we've been able to meet a whole range of new need as well as the established need that we had. So Kickstart really was, a real bonus for us when it was advertised marketed last September.
Yeah, okay. So, and I'm sure those rural areas, like all areas, like, the whole of the country where we've got a lot of social care in rural parts of the country, having an opportunity like that is something that has really benefited. So how has Kickstart actually benefited your service or services?
Well, it added value immediately. We applied for 30 job placements back in September. They were awarded in October. So we got in right at the start, and we really wanted to do something for local young people who maybe hadn't thought of social care as a career. And during the pandemic, obviously, it's been really marketed well in terms of the importance of social care. So we had great support from the local job centre, but the benefit for us is that it's added value. We've got some really high caliber young people into the organisation, and we were able to use the interviews as a sort of development tool. So young people coming in with an idea of what they might want to do, but then as soon as we started to talk about what we did as an organisation and our clients, our service users, the people we support, being at the real focal point of everything that we do. The interviews turned into something really positive and developmental. So it's given us added value, it's given us new jobs, it's helped our infrastructure, but 22 of the 30 jobs were in frontline care. The other thing that it did, Karen, it gave us time, because of the training and the mentoring that goes in the first month or so. It really gave us time to get people inducted into the work without any pressure. So we're being paid for them for 6 months, and you know, up front we got £1,500 per person. We could set them up, get the training sorted, so the pressure is off, and we could do proper shadowing. But I think the benefit in both the frontline worker roles and the central support team roles, it's just added so much value. It's been brilliant.
And I'm sure having that opportunity to properly induct people, because quite often in social care and in other sectors, the rate at which people leave is quite substantial, isn't it, by not getting that investment through a really robust induction programme.
Absolutely. We have induction now online as well. So before somebody actually starts with us, they're able to go on our website and do a bit of the work before they join us, once all the checks have been done. But for Kickstart people who they've really embraced the whole idea of working here and of wanting to make a contribution. So yeah, it's been fantastic. They've really used the induction well. We've just done our first reviews of people who started in December.
Right.
Absolutely brilliant. And also, of course, they get feedback from the people with support. And they get, you know, really instant feedback about the support that they're offering. You know, those questions when people come to an interview and we say, you know, what's your interest in social care? And they say they're not too sure, we want to help people.
Yes.
You know, that answer that you tend to get. We've actually had people coming in with some real ideas about what they can contribute during COVID and to social care. It's been wonderful.
But it's certainly shone a spotlight, hasn't it, COVID, on social care and people suddenly taking an interest. So have people really adapted? So the new staff, they've really adapted to social care and working in social care, particularly frontline social care.
Yeah, well, we had a programme last week on BBC TV, which featured a frontline worker called Keris, who working with someone with really profound disabilities and some quite serious health needs in one of our residential projects. And she actually said that working for us in the month she's been with us had changed her life and had changed her perspective. And she'd realized how much she could learn in a really short space of time. You know, and obviously we give the vision, we get everything in place for the mentoring. But yeah, I think a lot of organizations thought that what would happen is with people, they're on universal credit, they may have been out of the job market for some time. We have to offer them a minimum of 25 hours a week. And of course, the DWP advise organizations to pay a minimum of the national minimum wage. Well, we've worked for 3 years to get all of our wages, you know, to improve our paying conditions. So we're hitting the £10 an hour mark. And I know it's not enough. I know, you know, social care is worth much more than that. But we did a lot of work before COVID. So we've been able to get them coming in, the Kickstart staff coming in on 966 as an entry rate. And I think that's why we managed to get more interest very early on. We paid a bit more. So yeah, they've made a real contribution.
And that's the real challenge, isn't it? How do we value people that need our support service? How do we value people who work in those services? And, you know, we have to pay the right rate of pay to attract people and to make everybody feel valued.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
you know, sorry.
I know, I was just going to say, have there been any unexpected benefits, outcomes that you weren't expecting?
All this publicity.
Yes.
The fact that I wasn't quite expecting it to go this far, and I think because we got in first, and the other thing is there's flexibility in the way that you can work with job coaches and job centres. The benefit has been as well that the local job centres have got to know us. They've got to know much more about us and our needs. The real benefit is a new posts, us being able to develop its work. We employ 215 people now, 215 local people. We're a big employer here, but I think people who come in without a social care background, they can offer you different things. We're helping to skill them, give them skill sets. So the real benefits have just been in the people we support getting something extra from it.
And of course, the people that use the services, those new skills that are coming in to support them.
Yeah.
Sure, that's adding so much more as well.
Yeah, and I think it makes our existing staff group think really hard about what else they can add on to supporting people. We offer real person-centered care, and I think that's what benefits the young people coming in through Kickstart. They see that what we're really about is, for all we talk about and for all we say, it's just about the person that we support. They're the focal point of everything. So you can get that started right from the beginning.
And how widely is that being used now in Devon?
Kickstart. Well, I think there was slow take up. I'm a member of Devon County Council. Social care have been brilliant. They've really used Kickstart. You know, they pushed it, promoted it along with the job centre. We work with really excellent commissioners who keep talking to providers about the value of Kickstart. It's now being taken up more. The big change was on the 3rd of February when the government changed the rules. When we applied, there were two ways in. One was through a gateway where you'd work with other providers. If you could only offer 2 or 3 roles, we knew we could make good use of 30 roles, and we went for that straight away. But it did put many organisations off because they didn't feel they could actually provide the 30. From the 3rd of Feb, it means now any social care organisation can apply for any number of Kickstart roles up to 30 or beyond. So I think that's given it extra flexibility.
Yeah. So overall, if you hadn't got that scheme, where do you think you might be now?
We wouldn't have been able to increase the value that we offer to each of the people we support. Our infrastructure has benefited from training inputs, the infrastructure roles, central support team roles have been in property liaison because we work with housing organisations with our supported living work. We work with Pivotal Housing who cover Devon and Cornwall for us. We actually managed to get a property liaison role that we employ that worked with housing providers, which is fantastic. Training, HR, admin, social media, technology development for people with profound disabilities. We use eye-based technology. So all of those things have given us this real added value. We couldn't have done it without Kickstart.
And that's wonderful. That is really wonderful. It's like, you know, it's almost like starting with a blank sheet of paper. What does good social care really look like? What can we add to it? How different can it be now? And what is it going to look like in the future?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the other thing about COVID, of course, is that new models of care are emerging. I think local authorities, the purchasers now are much clearer about sufficiency and what they need. And it's been a really tough time, but the thing that we saw Kickstart as was it's an opportunity during COVID. And for us, yeah, there were lots of challenges. It's been really tough. But at the same time, we've really looked at the opportunities that were available. That's been the biggest thing. So we've managed to really use Kickstart at a time when needs increased, and when people just needed that extra bit of support. So it's been great, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. And I think, you know, at the end of this, there'll be so many good stories that have to come out, and this certainly will be one of them, won't it? Really well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Len. It's been really, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
And to you.
And hopefully we can share these stories much further and look at how we can add value to the sector. Thank you.